What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology.
So
high. The show where we get higher than the moon people and tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore. Today, we are jumping into a little Japanese ditty, a little Japanese folktale here. The Bamboo Cutter and the Moonchild. Moonchild. That totally sounds like something a hippie would name their kid. This is Moonchild and her brother River.
I'm sorry.
This is another forest tree.
It's just funny. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess without further ado, Kimbo, go ahead and take her away.
Thank you. So it's Japanese.
Woo!
And
Nice.
That deserves a womp womp.
Yeah, it does.
You forgot.
Yeah. Little button breakdown there for you.
For all of them. Jesus.
That would be funny. That's the whole episode. Yep, we're doing a little Japanese story here. And that was it. Yeah, so go ahead and take it away, Kim.
Okay. So I decided on this one because of my game will call me that I love so much.
Oh, gummy.
But I never understood what it was until I was reading the story. I was like, oh. Okay. All right, so here we go.
Oh, Kami.
I love it. I can't help it. Long, long ago, there lived an old bamboo woodcutter. He was very poor and sad also. For the heavens had not sent him no children to cheer his old age. And in his heart, there was no hope
Just
of
you
rest.
could have a wife. I don't think he knows how it works. He's like, I work every day. Why haven't the heavens sent me a child? Just a single working man. No wife.
Actually, I don't even know if there's a wife.
Yeah. He just doesn't even know that what's actually required to make a child. I see storks every day. Not a single stork's drop by with a baby.
I'm out there looking with my binoculars every night. And in his heart there was no hope of rest from work till he died and was laid in the quiet grave. Every morning he went out to the woods and the hills wherever the bamboo reared its lithe green plumes against the sky, where he had made his choice. When he had made his choice, he would cut down these feathers of the forest, splitting them lengthwise or cutting them into joints, and would carry the bamboo wood home.
The writer really fucking loves bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
These succulent sucklings.
He would carry the bamboo wood home and then make it into various articles for the household. He and his old wife gained gained a small livelihood by selling them.
Yeah. Bamboo, get your bamboo here.
One morning, as usual, he had gone out to do his work, and having found a nice clump of bamboos, had set to work to cut them down. Suddenly, the green grove of bamboos was flooded with a bright, soft light, as if the full moon had risen over the spot. Looking around in astonishment, he saw that a brilliance was streaming from one of the bamboo. The old man, full of wonder, dropped his axe and went towards the light. On nearer approach, he saw that in this soft splendor came from a hollow in the green bamboo stem, and still more wonderful
aliens,
to behold,
in the
midst of the brilliance stood a tiny human being, only 3 inches in height.
Yeah, called it.
And exquisitely beautiful in appearance.
Hot aliens.
The old man said,
The heavens must have sent you to be my child. I find you here amongst the bamboos where my daily work lies.
And taking the little creature in his hands, he took it home to his wife to bring up. The tiny girl was so exceedingly beautiful and so small that the woman had to put her in a basket to safeguard her from the least possibilities of being hurt in any way. The old couple were now very happy, for it had been a lifelong regret that they had no children of their own. And with this little joy, they now expended all their love of their old age onto this little child, who had come to them in such a marvelous manner.
Alien.
She probably looks like an alien. She's got bunny ears.
She's a bunny. She's from the planet Hippity Hoppity, where it is always Easter.
Oh, no, descendants of the Jade Rabbit.
Jade Rabbit.
Hey.
Yeah.
There's some Chinese in
there. Yeah. You're mixing your Chinese and your Japanese is there.
Well, their culture is very similar.
Yeah.
Their stories are very similar anyway. From this time on, the old man often found gold in the notches of the bamboo when he hewed them down and cut them up.
Score.
Not only gold, but precious stones as well, so that by degrees he became a very rich man. He built himself a fine house and was no longer known as the poor bamboo woodcutter.
Now I'm the
but
rich
as a
bamboo
wealthy man.
woodcutter. The funny thing is, too, like, as cool as it is finding those things in it, it's also got to suck when you go to cut it down.
Yeah,
you got, like, a machete and you hit it, it's like, tank! Cool, more gold. Fuck.
That's why he carries, like, 27, right?
Yeah.
Right? Just in case.
27 machetes.
3 months passed quickly away, and in that time the bamboo child, wonderful to say, had become a full-grown woman. So her foster parents did up her hair and dressed her in beautiful kimonos.
Get your hair did, girl.
She was such wondrous beauty that they placed her behind the screens like a princess and allowed no one to see her, waiting upon her themselves. It seemed as if she were made of light, for the whole house was filled with a soft, shining light, so that even in the dark of night, it was like daytime. God, that's gotta be annoying.
Yeah, yes, it does. They kind of lock her in like a light-proof box.
Just put her in the basement.
Here's your dark room, honey.
Her presence seemed to have benign influences on those there. Whenever the old man felt sad, he had only to look upon his foster daughter, and his sorrows would vanish, and he became happy as when he was in his youth. At last, the day came in the naming of their new-found child. So the old couple called in a celebrated name-giver, and he gave her the name of Princess Moonlight, because of her body gave forth so much soft, bright light that she had been the daughter of the moon god.
Uh-huh. Had to be. Where else you get all that moonlight?
Mm-hmm. For 3 days, the festival was kept up with song, dance, and music. All the friends and relations of the old couple were present. Great was their enjoyment of the festivities held to celebrating the naming of Princess Moonlight.
Is she still locked in the closet?
Yep, and that's why it's so bright in there.
Yeah.
Everyone who saw her declared that there had never been or seen anyone so lovely. All the beauties throughout the land would grow pale beside her, so they said.
Because she puts off that pale light. Yeah.
The fame of this princess's loveliness spread far and wide, and many were the suitors who desired to win her hand, or even such as much as to see her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can get a glimpse of
Have you
this
seen that
bitch.
moon chick in that one little village? I heard it's quite a sight to see. But it's hard to see her because her parents are somewhat abusive and keep her locked behind a screen at all
She's just a
times.
tourist attraction.
She's a tourist attraction, yeah. Next exit, Moonlight Girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was stuck. Suitors from far and wide posted themselves outside the house and made little holes in the fence in hopes of catching a glimpse of the princess as she went from one room to the
Creepers.
other along the veranda.
Creepers.
Mm-hmm. They stayed there day and night, sacrificing even their sleep for a chance of seeing her. But all
so
in vain.
Mad if I was to that. Get your goddamn putting holes in my fucking fence.
I'd be pissed too. Then they approached the house and tried to speak to the old man and his wife or some of the servants.
Fix my goddamn fence.
But not even this was granted to them.
You kids whacking off behind my fence.
Still, in spite of all this disappointment, they stayed on day after day and night after night and counted it as nothing. So great was their desire to see the princess. At last, however, most of the men, seeing how hopeless their quest was, lost heart and hope both, and returned to their homes. All except for 5 knights.
5 nights.
Whose ardor and determination, instead of waning, seeming to wax greater with obstacles.
They were waxing greater.
These 5 men even went without their meals and ate scraps of whatever they could get brought to them, so that they might always stand outside the dwelling. They stood there in all weathers, in sunshine, in rain, snow, sleet, don't matter.
They were called the 5 Chads.
For real. Sometimes they wrote letters to the princess, but no answer was returned to them. Then, when the letters failed to draw any reply, they wrote poems to tell her of how hopeless love, telling her of the hopeless love, which they kept from sleep, from food, from rest, and even from their homes.
And all this time, the restraining order was still being processed.
Still, Princess Moonlight gave no sign of having received their verses.
She's just trying to ignore. I'm like, God, fucking sending me more unsolicited poetry.
It's just fucking stop.
Can you guys get the point? Just stop.
For real.
My dad's super angry that you guys are whacking off behind his fence. You keep putting holes in it.
In this hopeless state, the winter passed. The snow and frost and the cold winds gradually gave their place to the gentle warmth of spring. Then the summer came, and the sun burned white and scorching in the heavens above and on the earth below. And still these faithful knights kept their watch and waited. At the end of these long months, they called out to the old bamboo cutter and begged him to have some mercy upon them, to show them the princess. But his only answer was that he was not her real father, so he could not insist on her obeying him against her wishes.
Boom, suckers! Huh? How you feel about that? She's a grown-ass woman. She gets to make her own choices, huh? You Chads don't get that one, do you?
The 5 knights, on receiving this stern answer, returned to their dreary homes and pondered over the best means of touching the proud princess's heart, even so much as to grant them a hearing. They take their rosaries in hand and kneeled before their household shrines and burned precious incense, praying to Buddha to give them their heart's desire.
Buddha,
Several days
Buddha.
passed, but even so, they could not rest in their homes.
I cannot sleep. Keep thinking about what that guy said. Women's rights? I've never heard of that before.
So again, they set out for the bamboo cutter's house. This time, the old man came out to see them, and they asked him to let them know if it was the princess's resolution to never see any man whatsoever, and they implored him to speak for them, to tell her the greatness of their love, and how long they had waited through the cold of winter and the heat of summer, sleepless and roofless through all weathers, without food and without rest, in the hopes of winning her affection. They were willing to consider this long vigil.
This long vigil. Consider this long vigil. Oh.
Thank you. As pleasure, if she would but give them one chance of pleading their cause with her. Wow.
I like to imagine the dad just always coming out with the water hose and just spraying him on get your ass off of my lawn. I told you fucking 4 times already.
They got guns at this point, right?
They got guns, maybe.
The old man lent a willing ear to their tale of love, for in his inmost heart he felt these faithful suitors and would have liked to see his lovely foster daughter married to one of them. So he went into the Princess Moonlight, and he said,
To me, you have always been a heavenly being, and yet I've had trouble bringing you up as my own child, and you seem to enjoy the protection of my roof. Will you refuse to do as I wish?
Then Princess Moonlight replied that there was nothing she would not do for him, that she honored and loved him as much as her own father. And for that, as for herself, she could not remember the time before she came to earth. The old man listened with great joy as she spoke these dutiful words. Then he told her how anxious he was to see her safely and happily married before he died. He said,
I am an old man, over 70 years old, and my end may come at any time. It is necessary and right that you should see these 5 suitors and choose one of them.
The princess in distress said,
Why must I do this? I have no wish to marry any time soon. I'm a young girl.
Still smokes like 6
Yeah,
packs.
I just smoke like 6 packs of cigarettes a day.
The old man answered.
I found you many years ago when you were but a little creature 3 inches high in the midst of a great white light. The light streamed from the bamboo in which you were hiding and led me to you. I have always thought that you were more than a mere mortal woman.
No shit.
Maybe just a little bit. I don't know where I got
Women
that inkling.
fucking gross.
I thought women just glowed and storks brought babies. While I am alive, it is right for you to remain as you are, if you wish to do so. But someday I shall cease to be. Just holding that over your head, no biggie, you know. And who will take care of you then, huh? Therefore, I pray you will meet with these 5 men, one at a time, hopefully, no need for the group thing, and consider marrying one of them, and then tell those jackasses to get off my fucking lawn and quit beating off behind my fence.
Thank you. Then the princess answered that she felt sure that she was not as beautiful as the reports made her out to be, and that even if she consented to marrying one of them, not really knowing her beforehand, his heart might change afterwards. So she did not feel sure of them, even though her father told her they were worthy knights. She did not feel it wise to see them. The old man says,
What you say is reasonable, but what kind of man shall you consent to marry, can you there? And I do not call these 5 men light-hearted. They stood outside of this house for months, through the winter and the restraining orders, through me spraying them with the hose and yelling obscenities at them, often denying themselves food and sleep, mainly because I took away the food and played loud music every night.
well, serving her light, which is no.
Yeah. Plus, you're bright as hell. You make it real hard to sleep. They all did that to win you. What more can you demand?
The Princess Moonlight said that she must make further trial of their love before she would grant their request to interview her.
A pack of Pall Malls and a bottle of Stolovich vodka.
The 5 warriors were to prove their love, each by bringing her from a distant country something that she desired to possess.
Ah. She is really needy.
That same evening, the suitors arrived and began to play their flutes in turn and to sing their self-composed songs, telling of their great and tireless love.
I got a great tireless love. This whole song.
Pour some sugar.
Yeah,
No.
pour some
That's
sugar on me.
Sorry. The bamboo cutter went out to tell them and offered them his sympathy, for they had all endured and all the patience that they had shown in their desire to win his foster daughter. He then gave him her message, that she would consent to marry whoever was successful in bringing her what she wanted. This was to test them. All 5 accepted the trial, and though in an excellent plan, for it would prevent jealousy between them.
I'm just imagining them as Def Leppard. Def Leppard and a Chad.
Princess Moonlight then sent word to the first knight that she requested him to bring her the stone bowl which had belonged to Buddha in India.
Bring me a big fat bowl of Buddha.
The second knight was asked to go to the mountain of Horai, said to be situated in the eastern sea, and bring her a branch of the wonderful tree that grew on its summit.
It's another weed plant.
The roots of this tree were made of silver, and the trunk was gold. And the branches bore
more expensive than gold.
The branches bore as fruit white jewels.
Ah.
The third knight was to go to China and search for the fire rat and bring her its skin. The fourth knight
go skin a fire rat.
Mm-hmm. The fourth knight was told to search for a dragon that carried on its head the stone radiating 5 colors and bring her the stone to her. And
Damn,
the
girl.
fifth night was to find the swallow, which carried a shell in its stomach, and bring the shell to her.
Bring me the shell from this.
The old man thought that these were very hard tasks and hesitated in carrying the message. But the princess would make no other conditions, so her commands were issued word for word to the 5 men who, when they heard what was required of them, were all disheartened and disgusted at what seemed to them
Fuck.
the impossibility of tasks given to them, and returned to their own homes in despair.
Packed in despair.
Fuck this bitch.
Oh, we'll never get to swallow stone.
But after a time, when they thought of the princess, the love in their hearts revived for her, and they resolved to make an attempt to get what she desired of them. The first knight sent word to the princess that he was starting out that day on the quest of Buddha's bowl, and he hoped to soon bring it to her.
There's a dispensary down the road. I'll go get you a big fat bowl of Buddha.
But he had not the courage to go all the way to India, for in those days traveling was very difficult and full of danger. So he went to one of the temples in Kyoto and took a stone bowl from the altar there, paying the priest a large sum of money for it. Then he wrapped it in a cloth of gold and waited quietly for 3 years, returned and carried it to the old man.
He overpaid for his weed. I bet his swag weed, and she's gonna be mad.
Probably is fucking
I
swag
just got
now.
this shit from here.
He waited 3 years after he got it.
Oh, Jesus.
You
Yeah,
know
what
what
is he doing for 3 years?
Well, it takes a minute to get to India from there.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. He was playing like he was in India.
Exactly. Princess Moonlight wondered how the knight could have returned so soon.
Yeah, it should have taken you forever, because I hoped you would die out there.
She took the bowl from its gold wrapping, inspecting it to make room. Excuse me. Wow. Expecting it to make the room full of light, but it did not shine at all. So she knew that it was a sham thing,
This is
and
a
not
sham.
the true bowl of Buddha. She returned it at once and refused to see him.
I wanted that
knight-
sticky green.
The knight threw the bowl away and returned to his home in despair. He gave up
Aw.
all hopes of ever winning the princess.
Looks like I'll die alone.
Yep. The second knight told his parents that he needed a change of air for his health. He was so ashamed to tell them that about the love for the Princess Moonlight was the real cause of his leaving them.
Yeah, they would have probably been angry and told them that it's not
Fuck
worth
no.
it. You're going to spend how much on this girl? You haven't even seen her. Son, we need to tell you you've got a problem.
For real. He then left his home and at the same time sending word to the princess that he was setting out for Mount Horai, and in the hopes of getting a branch of the gold and silver tree which she wished to have. He only allowed his servants to accompany him halfway, and then he sent them back. He reached to the sea at the seashore and embarked on a small ship.
A small ship at the seashore.
And after sailing away for 3 days, he landed and employed several carpenters to build him a house contrived in such a way that no one could get access to it. He then shut himself up with 6 skilled jewelers and endeavored to make a gold and silver branch as he thought it would satisfy the princess as having come from the wondrous tree growing
The
on Mount
wondrous
Horai.
tree on Horai.
I know, right? Everyone whom he had asked declared that Mount Horai belonged to the land of the fable and not to the fact.
She's mad at him for not going, and he's like, it's not a real place.
When the branch was finished, he took his journey home and tried to make himself look as if he were wearied and worn out with his travel.
That was a long journey to Mount Horai. I stopped in Asgard on the way, also.
He put the jeweled branch in a lacquered box and carried it to the bamboo cutter, begging him to present it to the princess.
Present my box to your daughter, please.
The old man was quite deceived by the travel-stained appearance of the knight, and thought that he had only just returned from his long journey with the branch. So he tried to persuade the princess to consent to see the man, but she remained silent and looked very sad. The old man began to take out the branch and praised as its wonderful treasure to be found nowhere in the whole world.
Look at the branch.
He then spoke of the knight, how handsome and how brave he was to have undertaken a journey to so remote of a place as to Mount Horai. The princess took the branch in her hand and looked at it carefully.
Why don't you sleep with them, father?
She then told her foster parent that she knew it was impossible for the man to obtain such a branch of gold and silver tree growing at Mount Horai so quickly or so easily, and she was sorry to say that she believed it artificial. The old man went out.
It was a place I just made up on the spot.
The old man went out to the expecting knight, who now approached the house. He asked, how are those things still alive? He asked where he had found the branch, and the man did not scruple to make up a long story. He said,
Bro, like 2 years ago, I took a ship and started in search of Mount Horai with my other bros. After going before the wind for some time, I reached the far eastern sea. Then a great storm came up, and we were tossed out for like a whole bunch of days. You know, we were lost, and then we got blown on the shore. And then an unknown island. We got some strange on a shore on an unknown island. Is kind of what I'm saying. And then I found the place inhabited by demons. Yeah, bro, there were fucking totally demons out there. Totally a bunch of fucking demons who one at a time threatened to kill me and eat me. However, I managed to fuck them up. And then we became bros. And I was hanging out with my demon bros. And they helped me and my sailors. And we, repaired the boat. And then we set sail again. And then, our food gave out. So we then, had to get sick. And we all got sick on board and shit. And it was, totally not cool.
Cannibal?
And yeah, and then at last, 500, I think, 500 days later, bro, we saw the far off horizon what looked like a peak of a mountain, and on near approach, totally was the fucking island. And I was like, yeah, bro, it's the fucking island. In the center of the island, there was a big fucking mountain, right? So I landed, and then 2 or 3 days later, I was wandering because for some reason I didn't know to go in the direction, of the big mountain. But I saw a shining, a shining fucker, and he was coming towards me on the beach, and he was coming at me. He was holding his hands on a golden bowl. And I went up to him, and I was like, "Bro, what the fuck?" By good chance, found the island of Mount Horai, and he answered that it was totally the right fucking island. With much difficulty, I climbed the summit, and there was a big fucking tree with gnarly golden branches and silver roots, and the wonders of that strange land, man. They're many, and if I begin to tell you about all of them, I could never stop. I mean, I would want to stay there longer, but I just broke off a fucking branch, stole it, flipped off the gardener, and fucking bounced. And you can see I'm totally still damp. I didn't roll in a puddle on my way here, bro. This is legit dampness from the sea, from going on my voyage and shit. Because I was anxious to bring the princess the branch.
Thank you. At that moment, the 6 jewelers who had been employed on making the golden branch, but not yet paid by the knight, arrived at the house and sent in a receipt to the princess to be paid for their labor.
Yeah, he didn't even pay us. He just gave us your address. I thought it was kind of strange.
They said that they had worked for over 1,000 days making the branch of gold with its silver twigs and its jeweled fruits that was now presented to her by the knight. But as of yet, they had received nothing in payment.
We asked him about money, and he said, quote, "I'll wreck you, bro."
Send the bill here. So the knight's deception was thus found out, and the princess, glad of an escape from one more impudent suitor,
That guy was dumb.
was only too pleased to send back the branch. She called in the workmen and had them paid handsomely, and then they went away happy. But on the way home, they were overtaken by the disappointed knight, who had beaten them until they were nearly dead for letting out the secret.
Bro, I said I'd wreck you, bro.
And they barely escaped with their lives.
Sup, bro? Sup?
The knight then returned home, raging in his heart and despair of ever winning the princess, gave up society, and retired to a solitary life along the mountains.
No more bros for me.
Now, the third knight had a friend in China, so he wrote to him to get the skin of the fire rat. The virtue of any part of this animal was that no fire could harm it. He promised his friend any amount of money he liked to ask if he could only get him the desired article. As soon as the news came back that the ship on which his friend had sailed home had come into port, he rode 7 days on horseback to meet him, handed his friend a large sum of money, and received the fire rat skin. When he got back home, he put it carefully into a box and sent it in to the princess while he waited outside for her answer.
It's just a regular rat.
The bamboo cutter took the box from the knight and, as usual, presented it to her and tried to coax her to see the knight at once. But the Princess Moonlight refused, saying that she must first put the skin to the test by putting it into the fire. If it were the real thing, it would not burn, right?
Yeah.
So she took off the crepe wrapper, and opened the box. Those edibles really kicked in, yeah.
Just a dead rat.
I mean,
in
on
the
that
box.
hash joint didn't really help either earlier.
Yeah, hash and weed together.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
So fucking high. Anyway,
Da-da-da-da-da, bamboo girl.
and then she threw it into the fire. Boom. The skin crackled and burnt up at once, and the princess knew that the man had also not fulfilled his mission. So the third night failed also.
Failure night.
Now the fourth night was no more enterprising than the rest. Instead of starting out on the quest of the dragon bearing on its head the 5-color radiating jewel, he called all of his servants together, gave them the order to seek for it, and seek far and wide in Japan and in China, and he strictly forbade any of them to return until they had found it. His numerous retainers and servants started out in different directions with no intention, however, of obeying what they considered an impossible order.
Yeah, we're totally going to do that.
They simply took a holiday and went to the pleasant country places together and grumbled at their master's unreasonableness.
You know, he's an asshole, but it's really cool that we managed to squeeze this trip out to the countryside out of him.
I know, right? We never get to come out here.
We never get a day off, and now we get a paid vacation.
I mean, it was nice when he was gone for that year.
Yeah, when he was gone for that year because he had to go into hiding.
No, when he was just jerking off behind
He
a
was
fence.
just jerking off behind a fence. It was really nice then. You know.
Yeah, we didn't come out
We
there to
didn't
bring
come
him
out.
food, remember?
Yeah.
He was scarcely eating. He was the skinniest one of them all.
But skinny, just with one really big arm.
Gross. The knight, meanwhile, thinking that his retainers could not fail to find the jewel, repaired to his house and fitted it up beautifully for the reception of the princess. He felt so sure of winning her.
I got HGTV out here and everything.
1 year passed away in the weary waiting, and still his men did not return with the dragon's jewel. The knight became desperate. He could wait no longer, so taking with him only 2 men, he hired a ship and commanded the captain to go in search of the dragon. The captain and the sailors refused to undertake what they said was an absurd search, but the knight compelled them at last to put out to sea.
Just imagine the actual people too being, when he's like, "Go find the dragon and bring me my gems." Like, sir, dragons don't exist.
When they had been but a few days out, they encountered a great storm, which lasted so long, By the time its fury abated, the knight had determined to give up the hunt for the dragon. They were at last blown on shore for navigating with primitive. Navigation was primitive in those days. Worn out with his travel and anxieties, the forced suitor gave himself up to rest. He caught a very heavy cold and had to go to bed with a swollen face.
He got a very heavy cold and had to go to bed with a swollen.
Yeah. The governor of the place, hearing his plight, sent messengers with a letter inviting him to his house. While he was there thinking over all of his troubles, his love for the princess turned to anger, and when he blamed her for all the hardships that he had undergone, he thought that it was quite probable that she had wished to kill him so that she might be rid of him in order to carry out her wish.
Yup.
Had sent him upon his impossible quest. At this point, all of the servants he had sent out to find the jewels came to see him and were surprised to find praise instead of displeasure awaiting them. Their master had told them that he was heartily sick of adventure and said that he never intended to go near the prince's house again in the future.
Done jacking off behind her fence.
Like all the rest, the fifth knight failed in his quest. He could not find the swallow's shell. And that's it.
That's his whole story. I like that everyone else has an elaborate hoax. He just comes back a couple days later. He's like, listen, I looked around. I couldn't find it. I totally thought I had one in my garage. Turns out I didn't. So I'm going to go.
By this time, the fame of Princess Moonlight's beauty had reached the ears of the emperor, and he sent one of the court ladies to see if she were really as lovely as the report said. If so, he would summon her to the palace and make her one of his ladies in waiting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's not even offering a marriage.
No, because he's already married.
He's already married.
I
like that all the other five guys are like, I'll do anything for the honor of your hand in marriage. And the emperor's like, I'll make you my prostitute.
Yep, that's all they did back then.
Or death. Final offer.
When the court lady arrived, in spite of her father's entreaties, Princess Moonlight refused to see her. The imperial messenger insisted, saying that the emperor's order. Then Princess Moonlight told the old man that if she was forced to go to the palace in obedience to the emperor's order, she would vanish from this earth.
I just cannot even. I will totally vanish. No one will ever see me again.
We're done.
We're done. We're done here.
When the emperor was told of her persistence in refusing to obey his summons, and that if pressed to obey, that she would disappear altogether from sight, he was determined to go and see her himself. So he planned to go out on a hunting excursion in the neighborhood of the bamboo cutter's house and see if the princess himself. He sent word to the old man of his intentions and received consent to the scheme. The next day, the emperor set out with his retinue, which he soon managed to outride, of course. And he found the bamboo cutter's house and dismounted. And then he entered the house and went straight to where the princess was sitting with her attendant maidens.
Not creepy at all, bro.
Not gonna even knock.
Not even gonna knock.
Never had he seen anyone so wonderfully beautiful that he could not but look at her, for she was more lovely than any human being as she shined on her own soft radiance. When Princess Moonlight became aware of a stranger was looking at her, she tried to escape from the room.
Stranger danger!
But the emperor caught her and begged her to listen to what he had to say. Her only answer was to hide her face in her sleeves. The emperor fell deeply in love with her and begged her to come to court, where he can give her a position of honor and everything she could wish for. He was about to send her one of the imperial palanquins, in order to take her back with him at once, saying that her grace and beauty should adorn at a court, and not be hidden in a bamboo cutter's cottage.
Not in a cottage, I say.
But the princess stopped him, and she said that if she were forced to go to the palace, that she would turn at once into a shadow, and even as she spoke, she began to lose her form. Her figure faded from the sight while he looked.
I told you I will fucking straight up leave this place shadow mode.
The emperor then promised to leave her freely only if she would resume her form shape, which she did.
Oof.
It was now time for him to return, for his retinue would be wondering what had happened to their royal master when they missed him for so long.
He's probably out creeping on some girl again.
So he bade her
He's a
goodbye.
very creepy emperor.
And he left the house with a sad heart. Princess Moonlight was for him the most beautiful woman in the world. All others were dark beside her, and he thought of her night and day.
She literally glows.
I know, right? I'm like, it's hard to look at a fucking...
Yeah. Everyone looks dark
flashlight.
and compared to you. Well, it is because I'm glowing. You should probably look away because your eyes are going to start watering here pretty soon.
For real. Can't sleep next to that.
Yeah.
You're gonna need more. You're gonna need like a heavy duty eye mask.
Yeah. Yeah.
With like, you know, those one of those tanning bed sunglasses.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. Tanning bed goggles and then a mask over the top.
For real. Protect yourself, motherfucker.
Protect your eyes, man.
So he bade her goodbye, left the house with sad heart. Most beautiful woman in the world, our dark beside her. I lost my place, I'm sorry. His Majesty now spent much of his time in writing poems, telling her of his love and devotion,
She
and
gets
sent
so
them to
many
her.
unsolicited poems.
I know, right? And though she refused to see him again, she answered with many verses of her own composing, which told him gently and kindly that she could never marry anyone on this earth.
How many ways in which can I tell you to fuck off?
These little songs always gave him pleasure.
Oh, I love that song.
You know, back in the day, it was like, no means yes, and get lost as take me, I'm yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those situations.
They called it the rape days.
That's still kind of going on.
It's still kind of it still happens some places.
Let's be honest here. Anyway.
Da 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 da.
I feel like it just went so dark. Sorry.
We took a dark turn there, folks.
Thanks. At this time, her foster parents noticed that night after night the princess would sit on her balcony and gaze for hours at the moon in a spirit of the deepest dejection, ending always in a burst of tears.
Oh. Oh.
One night, the old man found her thus weeping as if her heart were broken, and he besought her to tell him the reason of her sorrow.
I besought you.
Also?
I beseech you.
It's okay if it's just a vape. That's a tasty shit.
Yeah. Blue Dream.
Nice.
Blue
Happy holidays.
Dream. Happy holidays.
Opens.
It's past the holidays, but
It is.
that's what our vape pen
Happy
says,
soon to be
so-
Valentine's, I guess.
Yeah, Valentine's coming up.
My kid's not going to understand that for so
Yeah.
many years.
Get your fuck on.
Nah.
Maybe we'll talk about Cupid for Valentine's Day.
Shouldn't even fucking poke this thing when we're up done. With many tears. Don't judge me.
That's what she said.
With many tears, she told him that he had guessed rightly when he supposed her of not belonging to this world. Dun, dun, dun.
Dum dum
Ancient
dum.
alien.
Who would have thought?
That she had in truth come from the moon, and that her time on earth would soon be over. On the 15th day of that very month of August, her friends from the moon would come to fetch her, and she would have to return. Her parents were both there, but having spent a lifetime on earth, she had forgotten them and also the moon world in which she belonged. It made her weep, she said, to think of leaving her kind foster parents in the home where she had been happy for so long.
Dance in your wonderful moon palace.
When her attendants heard this, they were very sad, and they could not eat or drink for sadness at the thought that the princess would soon leave them. The emperor, as soon as the news was carried to him, sent messengers to the house to find out if the reports were true or not.
The fucking Emperor Creeper.
My scouts told me.
My scouts told me. The people I have watching you 24/7 told me. Woo, get some. Get some. Get some.
It was a bigger hit than I thought.
Get some. Get
I
some.
also ate like 3 edibles.
Ooh-wee.
And those are really kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
You drank all my fucking...
All the Red Bull. I'm a monster like that, folks.
He's always drinking my beverages, guys. And then I get fucking cotton mouth in the middle of it, and I have to try and work through the rest of the damn story.
Fight through it.
Motherfucker. Sorry. Okay.
Whew.
Super high now.
Yeah.
The old bamboo cutter went out to meet the imperial messengers. The last few days of sorrow had told upon the old man. He had aged greatly and looked even more than he was 70 years old. Weeping bitterly, he told them that the report was only too true. But he intended, however, to make prisoner of the envoys of the moon, and to do all he could to prevent the princess from being carried back. The men returned and told his majesty all that had passed. And on the 15th day of that month, the emperor sent a guard of 2,000 warriors to watch the house. 1,000 stationed themselves on the roof, and the other 1,000 kept watch around the entrance of the house.
They're just stacked up like a human pyramid.
Pretty much.
We have 1,000 men on the roof. That's too many men on the roof.
All were trained in archers with bows and arrows. The bamboo cutter and his wife hid Princess Moonlight in an inner room. The old man gave orders that no one was to sleep that night. All in the house were to keep a strict watch and be ready to protect the princess.
Protect the princess at all costs.
With these precautions and the help of the emperor's men-at-arms, he hoped to withstand the moon messengers. But the princess told them that all these measures were to keep her would be useless, and that when her people came for her, nothing could prevent them from carrying out their purpose.
I told you already. If I want to bounce, I'm going to fucking bounce.
Even the emperor's men would be powerless. She then added with tears that she was very, very sorry to leave him and his wife, whom she had learned to love as her parents.
Aww.
That if she could do as she liked, she would stay with them in their old age and try to make some return for all the love and kindness that they had shown her upon her during her earthly life.
All
was it,
the
4
love
months?
and kindness.
3 months.
Hmm?
I don't know about her for 4 years?
20 years?
You remember 3 months she became a full-grown woman? She got her name. Those nights stayed out for a year. That one night took 3 years at least.
Yeah, no, 20 years. Yeah, that's what the guy says.
20 years?
The old man says 20 years.
Oh, shit. I didn't catch that.
Spoiler alert.
So from 50 to 70, he's got this bitch.
Yeah.
She's not even going to be able to bury him in the grave.
No, he's got to bury himself.
After he buries his wife.
I'm going to just knock this out early while we're still alive.
Or vice versa. I don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
You never know.
They say women are less stressed than men, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it's not called the bamboo cutter's wife. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god, I'm too high for this. Oh shit. Okay.
Woo!
Ooh. The night wore on. The yellow harvest moon rose high into the heavens, flooding the whole world asleep with her golden light. Silence reigned over the pines of the bamboo forest and on the roofs of the 1,000 men-at-arms that waited. Then the night grew gray towards the dawn, and all hope of the danger was over, that Princess Moonlight would not have to leave them after all. Then suddenly the watchers saw a cloud form around the moon, and while they looked, this cloud began to roll earthwards. Nearer and nearer it came, and everyone saw with dismay that its course lay towards the house.
Oh, fuck. It's a cloud!
In a short time, the sky was entirely obscured, till at last the cloud laid over the dwelling only 10 feet off the ground. In the midst of the cloud there stood a flying chariot, and in this chariot a band of luminous beings. One amongst them, who looked like a king, or at least appeared to be their chief, stepped out of the chariot and, poised in the air, called to the old man to come out. He said,
"Hoodly-doo! The time has come for the Princess Moonlight to return to the moon from whence she came. She committed a grievous fault, and as punishment was sent to live down here for a time. We know what good care you have taken of her, and we have rewarded you by putting gold and jewels in the bamboo."
The old man replied,
I've brought up on this princess for 20-odd years now, and never once done anything wrong. Therefore the lady you seek is not here. I pray you look elsewhere, you filthy moon man.
Then the messenger called out, saying,
"Hoodly-doodly-doo, Princess Moonlight, get your ass up here and get the fuck out of this lowly dwelling. We've got a long fucking journey on the way back to Earth. Sucks. Let's go."
It's not going to Earth.
Oh. A long fucking way back, and Earth sucks. There we go. Let's go! Hoodly-doodly-doo.
I forgot I wrote that, sorry.
I'm from the moon.
I'm not a writer, okay? Don't look at me. I have to reword these things. He says the weirdest shit.
Hoodly-doo.
Okay. At these words, the scene of the princess's room slid open of their own accord, revealing the princess shining there in her own radiance, bright and wonderful and full of beauty. The messenger led her forth and placed her in the chariot. She looked back and saw with pity the deep sorrow of the old man. She spoke to him many comforting words and told him that it was not her will to leave him, and that he must always think of her when looking at the moon. The bamboo cutter implored that to be allowed to accompany her, but this was not allowed.
Hoodly-doo, not allowed.
Took off her embroidered outer garment and gave it to him as a keepsake. One of the moon beings in the chariots held a wonderful coat of wings. Another had a phial full of elixir of life, which was given to the princess to drink. She swallowed a little and was about to give the rest to the old man, but she was prevented from doing so.
No.
The robe of wings was about to be put upon her shoulders, but she said,
"Wait just one fucking second here. I must not forget my good friend the Emperor. Even though I didn't treat him like a friend and he kind of creeps me out a lot. I gotta write him once more and say goodbye and stuff while I'm still in my human form. Also, I've gotta smoke another half a pack of cigarettes before we go for the journey."
In spite of the impatience of the messengers and the charioteers, she kept them waiting while she wrote. She placed a phial of elixir of life within the letter, and giving them to the old man, she asked him to deliver them to the emperor. Then the chariot began to roll heavenwards towards the moon as they all gazed with tearful eyes at the receding princess. The dawn broke in the rosy light of the day. The moon chariot and all were lost amongst the fleecy clouds that were now wafted across the sky. It's giving you a visual, man.
Yeah, it is.
Across the sky on the wings of the morning wind.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, I gotta finish. Hang on.
Just wafting.
It's very detailed for these. This clouds and fucking bamboo.
Clouds
like
and bamboo, yeah.
This fucking narrator had a thing for him for shit. Princess Moonlight's letter was carried to the palace. His Majesty was afraid to touch the elixir of life, so he sent it with the letter to the top of the most sacred mountain in the land, Mount Fuji.
Fudge!
And there, The royal emissaries burnt it on the summit at sunrise. So to this day, the people there is smoke to be seen rising from the top of Mount Fuji to the clouds. There's a lot of pictures of that.
Yeah, because of the elixir being burned. Because I'm fucking up his gift. Homegirl went out of her way to sneak him a little elixir of life, and he's like, nah, I don't trust her.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, would you trust her?
No, I don't think I would.
Yeah. She roofies him. It's payback, you rapey asshole. Yeah, I hope you folks enjoyed it. This has been the Bamboo Cutter and the Moonchild. Moonchild! Yeah. Our resources were fairytales.com with a Z. Yeah. And hope you folks enjoyed the episode. We sure as hell did. We're both fucking toasted. Yeah. Sorry if we got a little off track there. We both took a handful of edibles before, so.
And then we just couldn't
mixing
figure out
it
the
up.
soundboard at first.
Woo, yeah.
Had a moment. You got it now?
I got it now. I got the buttons. Yeah.
Normally he presses them all before we even start.
Yeah.
But he just went.
I just went straight for it.
I was like, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess we are doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope you folks enjoyed it. Be sure to let us know what you think. You can find us at Howley Boys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good shit.
A lot of shit.
Be sure to follow us. Whatever you're listening to us on, follow it. Share it with your friends. We're all word of mouth peoples.
Yep.
So if you like what you're hearing,
tell people
about it.
Shout it out.
Yeah, scream it out of a moving car at random strangers.
Just don't yell at kids.
Don't yell at kids.
Or their dogs.
Or their dog. No, don't yell. Don't yell at kids or their dogs. But if you want to dress your dog up in high mythology
oh my
gear,
god, that'd be so awesome.
Yeah, send us pictures.
I would fucking love to see
We'll share them on the internet.
Jennifer.
Do
it.
Yeah. Next week we're gonna be coming at you guys with some Celtic stories. We're switching up the tempo. We're gonna be doing one episode a week from now on to kind of, give us some time for some other projects. But hope you folks enjoy it. We're going to try to have one just super high quality, probably longer episode per week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, because we got some fun shit coming down the pipe.
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Good night.